Great Britain, one of the most powerful nations, had been long colonizing in North America since the beginning of the 17th century. They were able to develop a stable economic relationship with their colonies up until the mid 18th century.
Beginning in the 1760s, Britain began taxing their colonies on numerous occasions.
Britain at this time was greatly in debt from the French and Indian War. To bring them back up and repay their debts, they decided to place taxes among their colonies, which were their biggest moneymakers.
From and after the 1st of December 1651, no goods or commodities of Asia, Africa, or America shall be imported or brought into this Commonwealth of England.
The first of these changes were the Navigation Acts. Britain forbid the importation of products from other nations.
In 1765, Britain went on and passed the Quartering Acts requiring colonists to provide basic needs for redcoats, and the Stamp Act that taxed all printed material.
With all these taxes put on the colonists, they were angry, so they decided to boycott and protest against these British products.
A group known as the Sons of Liberty was formed in 1765, co-founded by Samuel Adams to protest against the Stamp Act.
On March 5, 1770, one protest led to the death of an African American named Crispus Attucks. Although it was named the Boston Massacre, only 5 casualties occurred. However, many were wounded.
The most memorable protest against British products occurred on December 16, 1773, the Boston Tea Party. On that evening, colonists disguised themselves as American Indians, snuck onto an East India Company ship, and dumped 18,000 pounds of tea into the Boston harbor.
Due to the events of the Boston Tea Party, Britain passed the Intolerable Acts in 1774, closing off the Boston port and levied duties on tea and other imported goods.
Soon after the First Continental Congress, the first battle broke out in Lexington and Concord on April 19, 1775.
With the help of Minutemen, Paul Revere, William Dawes, and Samuel Prescott, they warned the British were coming the night before the battle.
The British are coming! The British are coming!
With the warning, the Americans were prepared for the British arrival, which led to a British retreat.
As Samuel Adams put it was a glorious day for America.
The Second Continental Congress convened in May of 1775 to devise their next course of action, but they were still divided. The Olive Branch Petition was approved by Congress on July 8, 1775, in an attempt to appeal to King George III in hopes of creating unity. However, it was rejected.
Since the United States continued to face many grievances from Britain, the adoption of the Declaration of Independence took place on July 4, 1776. This document was developed by none other than Thomas Jefferson, which stated the colonies' intentions concerning their rights.
When the Americans won the Battle of Saratoga, it was basically the make or break point of the war. French were deciding whether or not to ally with the colonists, but instead they chose a different route because they thought that if Britain were to win that war, they would face a lot of humiliation from the other citizens.
Although no alliances were made between nations, a spark in the war may have turned the outcome in favor of the Americans. On June 21, 1779, Spain declares war on Britain.
Now, back during the French and Indian War, Spain had lost some of their territory to the British, and of course they were angry. Instead of trying to reclaim their lost territory, Spain decides to fight for control of the money-making British colonies. In May 1780, Sir Henry Clinton, along with General Charles Cornwallis, pushed south, capturing Charlestown, South Carolina, leading to the surrender of Americans in the South.
So Cornwallis becomes the commander of the Southern Army, and he decides to advance toward North Carolina. But on the way, the Patriots attacked and cut off their British communication lines. So this caused them to retreat back to South Carolina.
George Washington then appoints Nathanael Greene to command the Southern Army. I am determined to defend my rights and maintain my freedom or sell my life in the attempt. He set out to weaken the British.
A wave of American victories pushed British troops to the coast. Cornwallis decided to head for Virginia.
The battle at Yorktown on October of 1781 was the battle towards Resolution. With 7,200 men on the battlefield, each side did their best to yield against their opposers' aggression. With limited resources spreading thinner and thinner between both wars against the Americans and Spain, in the end, British troops surrendered to the Americans and turned their rage towards Spain.